Welcome everybody to the Genesis After Party Artist Talk. I am your host, Captain and Director Maya Rue, here to talk with these lovely artists.
Don't put your shit on.
But also, like, what do you want?
I get asked the most loaded question of the night.
Yeah, yes.
No, it's literally just like, what do you want?
Ricardo Bouyett. Ricardo, welcome to the motherfucking show. As a brilliant filmmaker, author, I'm missing so much else. An interdisciplinary artist. Ricardo, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. My pronouns are he, him. I actually met Maya because I was filming this project called No Love for Fuckboys back in 2017. And our mutual friend, Naoki, introduced us. And they were like excited to be a part of some of the scenes. And, we just kind of connected and stayed, in contact since. And yeah, like you were saying, pretty interdisciplinary. I write poetry, I direct films, I'm a cinematographer, graphic designer, X, Y, and Z. So
all of the above.
All of the above. And then I was super excited when Maya approached me to have Baddie included, especially since like she hit me up like right after it premiered. So it's pretty dope. And also giving Baddie a home because like in the past year, because of COVID, a lot of film festivals weren't doing the submission process in the same year. It was all delayed, so I wasn't able to give Baddie a home anywhere up until really this year.
They don't really want to know or spend time with like you.
Right.
You.
Or like me. Right.
Well, like, do you feel like that about us?
Ricardo,
Hey.
your work is always so visceral, I guess is the best way to describe it. Visceral, emotional, like heartbreaking and hopeful at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, which is so interesting too, because I had been like, as far as doing like the editing and things, I would like show people like parts of the film, and I would show them like, once we get to your film, it's always like a very like, I feel like people are holding their breath the entire time. So what like motivated you to write this particular film, to write Baddie?
Backstory. I had actually met the collaborator for the film that I did called Good prior to Baddie during a very sort of like reconstruction type of era in my life, because I had previously quit a toxic work environment where an abuser of mine was present. And it's a whole story. But I made the choice to get out of that. And for a while I was stumbling around trying to find work. And eventually I did, and then I was pretty much trying to like start over. And so I was doing these portraits for like a discounted rate for a while just to kind of get back on my feet. And then I met her through it. And it seemed like a really solid collaboration at first. And we made good out of like a whim, just spending the day together. And then after that, I kind of felt like, okay, maybe I can come back to filmmaking. Baddie came to be because I finally felt reinvigorated to get back into filmmaking more seriously again after taking like a year-long hiatus to like go to therapy, work on myself and stuff like that. And so Baddie at first was actually supposed to be just like a straight up weird dance film about, dating in gay culture and all that. And like,
oh my God, that sounds like it still needs to be made.
Oh yeah, I've rewritten it so many times, so I have a different idea for it. But at the time, it was supposed to be this story about realizing not needing to use, all these apps to feel worthy, essentially, or to feel like sexy, or to feel powerful in your sexuality. You could just be. But casting was awful. Like, it was awful.
no.
It wasn't a good process. I wasn't able to find the men I needed for it. And so I decided to rewrite it into this story about this girl who's like struggling to feel like she fits in with her friend group. And from there, I did casting, was able to find Haley Carbonero, who was wonderful as Triss, really embodied that character super well. Then I also met Sar because my collaborator Hannah at the time knew her and like really recommended her. And so we went for that. Originally, the script was supposed to be this straight story about her struggling with a very like codependent friendship that was draining and that she had to stand up for herself. But then, you know, there were other people in the cast that kind of fell through in the last minute, so I had to rewrite it. And then when it came to filming, and I like got to talk to Haley in person, I started rewriting the script again in my head as we were going along. And so as like we were shooting, and we were doing some dance films and some more narrative stuff, I was like, you know what? I feel like I'm connecting with Haley on a whole different topic. And so we decided to kind of carve out this idea of, you know, this perception of feeling like you're unwanted in the space that you're taking up. This perception that because you're there, no one really wants you, they just want what you can provide. Whether that's an outlet or whether that's a service, or whether it's just to make themselves feel better that you're around because you're a mess, but they're not a mess. So essentially became the story about this mixed girl hanging out with these white girls, not feeling like she belonged.
Say, like, I want to go. I want to go. I'm tired of being here. You know, like I'm tired of trying so hard. You know, like to show people that I love them, to show people that I care. I want to be there. I want to take care of you. I want to stay out. I want to have a good time. I don't want to be the fucking Debbie Downer of the night. But I'm tired and I want to go home. And it's like you're not listening.
And I didn't want to make the colorism about that too heavy because I've, you know, in the past with my film festival submissions and all that, I've always been kind of like stopped because they're just that we don't have an audience for this or whatever. So I'm like, all right, let me not make colorism the focal point. Let me just keep that a subtle thing, but make this more of a coming of age narrative about this friendship being about perceptions and falsehoods and that sort of like fake positivity where you get reassured or reaffirmed that you matter in a friend group that clearly does not. Is more about like, oh, well, let me see how much of a mess you are and feel better about myself. And so Triss, you know, is pretty much reflective of where I was at in my friendships, where she kind of like mirrored this desire of wanting to like have her voice heard or feel like she's more than just a therapist to people. Like she has her own agency, she has her own, you know, life, but you never get to actually see that or hear it because she's like so inundated with all this self-doubt, and her friends are just kind of like, well, just get over it. You know, like just get over it, you matter, it's fine.
It's like a performative friendship.
Yeah, it's like, let's go out dancing. Like pretty much the only solution they could offer is let's go out dancing. You matter to us, let's go out dancing. And it's almost like the times where you see her break down is the only time that things get real. And so when it gets to the end where they ask, you know, there's pretty much like one conversation of one night, and it's, what do you want? And she just says, I just want to matter. And it takes you through this whole thing that leads up to that conversation in the staircase, which is her breaking down in front of her friends who don't understand why she's feeling the way that she does. So that's pretty much where I was coming from. In the process, I rewrote a lot because I tend to do that where it's like, I'll have a script and plan ready, but if I'm feeling an emotional connection to one of the actors or there's a collaborative atmosphere that allows us to experiment more and like bring something more to it than what was there originally, then I'll like run with it and take it. And that's how Baddie came to be.
Amazing.